back to Big OGGIE Kitchen. This afternoon I am going to make a cheap recipe, which is something that we quite enjoy in this house every now and again. It's not something that I do all the time, but when I do it, we all enjoy it, and you sort of kind of think, well, why don't I do that more? One of them ones. Anyway, it's cheap because we're using chicken wings, and I don't know, 3 of the 4 of us in this house love to pick on a chicken wing. The other one doesn't like anything on a bone, so that's absolutely fine. I'll do something different for that one. But we're using chicken wings, and rather than do just a normal sort of barbecue chicken wing, today I am doing a recipe out of this month's Good Food magazine. It's February's, and it is a teriyaki and lime glazed chicken wing. It's a very simple recipe. It sounds quite fancy, if you like, but there's not that many ingredients in it, and it's all pretty straightforward. But there are some modifications, shall we say, because the first thing was I thought I had all the ingredients, and then when I reread it, it said rice flour, and we don't have rice flour. And actually, I'm reluctant to go and buy a whole bag of rice flour to do one recipe, which I might not do again for another 6 months. So as an alternative, I am using corn flour, and I think the reason that they want the rice flour is, as I've read, it apparently makes things nice and crispy. It gives a crispy exterior to things, and corn flour does exactly the same. So I'm going to use corn flour because we needed corn flour later in the recipe anyway, and corn flour is something that I've always got in, so that's easy. Now, the other thing is, this is all about the teriyaki and lime glaze. So when we come to make that, the glaze consists of soy sauce. Now, it doesn't say whether you want dark or light soy sauce, so use whatever you have. I happen to have dark soy sauce, and if you are going to buy soy sauce, I would recommend you buy this particular brand, this OGGIE. You can get it in all supermarkets now, and most of the supermarkets have got like a special section now. It's not expensive, but it is a big bottle and it will last you a long time, but it's got a really great taste on it, and it's actually what most of the Chinese chefs use. So OGGIE soy sauce, best one. After that, everything's pretty much simple. Now, it asks for garlic, 2 cloves of garlic, and it also asks for 10 grams of ginger. If you've been around for a while, you will know that it is very rare that I actually have fresh garlic in this house, because I tend to do a lot of cooking at weekends and not an awful lot during the week. And if I buy a pod of garlic, then quite often it dries out or it sprouts before I get a chance to use it all. And I don't like wasting it. And, you know, it's one of them things. I don't use it every single day. So what I buy is a garlic puree. Now, you can get it like this in a tube. You can also get it in a little bottle like this. But it's already mashed up for you, and it's so simple to use. You literally need 1 teaspoon of this, is the equivalent to 1 clove of garlic. The other thing about using a puree is that you can be quite specific. So if you've got a pod of garlic, you get some great big fat lovely cloves, and then you get some little skinny weeny little cloves, and they're still 2 cloves. So, you know, there's a bit of a disparity in that. Whereas if you use 2 cloves, 2 teaspoons, you've got exactly the same amount. So there is that better to it as well. And it lasts. Once you've opened it, you just put it in the fridge and forget about it, and it's perfect. The other thing that I do not like doing, and actually one of the things that stops me doing things with ginger, I'm not a mad ginger fan. Like, I wouldn't do a ginger cake for me. The kids love it. They love gingerbread men. They love gingerbread cake. They love all that stuff. It's just not for me. But I don't mind putting ginger into savoury recipes. What I do hate is when you have to buy the piece of ginger, because quite often the supermarkets have had it lying around for a while and it's all knobbly and wrinkly and not particularly fresh. Then you get it home and you have to scrape it. Top tip, it's easier to scrape it with a spoon than try and peel it with a knife. But then you have to grate the stuff. And I hate it, that it's that fibrous, funny stuff. I don't like it. So I am using ginger paste. And again, this is pure ginger, already mashed up and pureed down for me. There is still a little bit of the fibrous stuff in it, as in I can tell the difference between garlic and ginger in my dish because you can see the gingery bits. But 1 teaspoon of ginger paste is the equivalent to 6 grams of ginger. Now this recipe needs 10 grams of ginger, so I've used 1.5 teaspoons for my ginger. And again, this will last. Now it's been opened, it needs to go into the fridge. It will sit there quite happily until I need it the next time. So those two are my top tips with regards to not wasting ingredients. The other top tip is that we need the juice of 1 lime. Now look at that. That literally, honestly, is the juice from 1 lime. Limes are very difficult to squeeze. They're a real hard citrus fruit. So, top tip here, when you get your lime, roll it, as usual. We've always told you to roll it. But what I did with that one is I then put the whole lime, there's the lime, I put that whole thing, before I chopped it or cut it, into the microwave for 10 seconds. When it came out, it was slightly warm to the touch. So I then cut it in half and I used my normal squeezer. And it was so much easier to juice than normal without it being warmed. And I think, and in fact, I'm sure I got much more juice from it. So my top tip of the day is roll your limes and then microwave them for 10 seconds before you squeeze them, and you get much more juice. So let's get going. As you can hear, my oven is on already preheating. It needs to be at 200 degrees fan, 220 if you don't have a fan, and gas mark 8, okay? First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our chicken wings. You don't need to take the tips off if you don't want to. It's entirely up to you. I literally am not going to bother because I just think it's easier to hold on to. Simple. So you take your chicken wings and all we're going to do is put them onto some kitchen paper because we want to try and dry them thoroughly. And the ideal of drying them out properly is obviously we're going to then put them into the corn flour, and what we don't want to do is create a situation where the wings are wet so you get clumps of corn flour stuck to it, or if you're going to use rice flour, if you have it, the rice flour. So try and make sure they're dried to the best of your ability. Make sure you sort of get in the little elbowy joints. It's worth taking a little minute to do that. Let me get a plate to put them on a minute. Once you've dried them, put them onto a little plate while you dry the rest. This recipe is using like 900 grams, I think, of chicken wings. If you buy chicken wings at the supermarket, these are from Sainsbury's, and these came in a pack, and I think there's a kilo in the pack, so there's a few extra in here, but that I think is a normal sized portion, as in like they come in kilo packs, so just use your kilo. The other thing about this recipe is it's a very easy recipe to size up if you're having guests. So if you're going to do sort of, I don't know, a little nibbles or a barbecue or something along those lines, you can just double or even triple the ingredients for this and it will come out perfectly brilliant. Chicken wings is a really cheap and easy way of feeding lots of people if you are having, you know, some sort of garden party or barbecue or something in the summer. It will be summer soon, I promise. We're in February now and it is starting to get a little bit brighter in the mornings, and I can't honestly say it's warming up any, but it is getting there slowly. So there are our wings. Now, remember, we are using raw chicken, so please be careful and make sure you wipe everything down. What we're going to do is we're going to dredge those into our corn flour, which I've mixed with salt and pepper, so it's just a seasoned flour. And then we're going to put them onto a lined baking tray. So, turn them round, coat them, dust them off a bit. It's a bit like talcum powder in a baby. Think that. There we go. I'll do the rest and I'll be back. Right, there we go. There are our wings all dusted and ready to go into the oven. So we're going to put those into the oven for 20 minutes and then we'll be back. Please make sure you wash up properly now. I'm going to wash my hands before I put this in the oven because I don't want to touch the oven with hands that have touched raw chicken. And then I'm going to wipe everything down with hot soapy water with a little splash of bleach just to make sure I kill any germs. Salmonella food poisoning from chicken is not a good thing. It is a very, very bad thing. So please be careful with raw chicken. Now, while our chicken is in cooking, we are going to make the glaze. Very simple, but we need to, it's going to take 4 or 5 minutes, so we'll just crack on with it. Okay, so over a medium-ish heat, you need to add your soy sauce, 4 tablespoons. Don't worry about the amounts because John will put all of this in the ingredients at the bottom, as he always does, plus his little cotton socks. So in go the soy sauce. Then you add in your garlic and your ginger. That's the sort of pungenty bit. So the soy sauce is the salty bit. Then you've got ginger and garlic, punchy bit. And then you're going to add your light brown sugar, which is going to give you sweetness. So we've got sort of sweet, savoury, sweet and sour vibes going on. And into that, you need to add 150 ml of water. There we go. Now, we need to make sure all this is completely combined. And we're going to cook it for 4 or 5 minutes until it sort of starts reducing slightly and starts to go a little bit thicker. But we don't need to be boiling this away and seriously reducing it, because what we're going to do, once it's reduced slightly, is we're going to take out a little bit, a couple of tablespoons, and add it to our corn flour to make a corn flour sludge, and then the corn flour is going to thicken it nicely so that it sticks well to our wings. So let's just get this combined and I will show you when we are ready. Okay, so I can feel now that the sugar has dissolved. So I'm just going to bring it up to just under a boil. I want it to bubble, but I don't want it to be boiling fast. So sort of a high simmer, low boil, if that makes sense. You know what I mean. Okay, there's the bubble. I'm going to turn it down slightly now because I don't want it to keep bubbling at that level. And obviously I'm going to keep stirring it because I don't want it to burn, so don't leave it just sat there. This should take 4 to 5 minutes. Okay, so our chicken has been in 20 minutes and our sauce is now slightly thickened. So I'm going to turn off the heat for the minute whilst I mix the rest. So in this little container, I have got a tablespoon of corn flour, and into that I'm going to add 2 tablespoons approximately of my hot liquid. So please make sure you do this in something that is heat resistant. Like that. Then you get a little spoon or something and you need to mix this corn flour in. Try and mix it so that there are no lumps in it. Make sure you get into the corners or into the edges, because otherwise you're going to end up with lumps in your main sauce, which you don't want. Plus the fact, if you don't get all of the corn flour, your sauce may not thicken as much as you would like it to. There we go. So that's nicely mixed. It's hot, obviously, so I need to mind my fingers. Now I'm going to put the heat back on low. And then I am going to pour my corn flour mixture in, like so. Make sure I get it all in. Take a whisk and whisk it. And keep whisking now for a few moments until this starts to thicken. And again, if you whisk it nicely, if you do happen to have the odd lump, you should be able to knock it out, but it's really not difficult to mix corn flour. So do this over like a low to medium heat so that it doesn't bubble up in one area and then, you know, get lumpy. And remember, this is a glaze, it's not a sauce, so it's not going to go really thick and gloopy, but it is going to thicken up enough. It should take about 3 minutes or so to bring it up until it's nicely thickened. It also looks quite glossy. I don't know if you can hear it because of my mic, but it sounds thicker now as well. So you're looking at that sort of consistency. Kind of thick, saucy, but still not gravy, put it that way. Right, once you get it to that stage, you put in your lime juice. And you give that a whisking as well. There we go. There we go. So the chicken is at about 20 minutes, just over. And as you can see, it's starting to brown up slightly. And the next step is we're going to use most of this glaze to paint over these wings, okay? We want a little bit left because we're going to baste them one more time after this. But most of this glaze is going on. It's lovely and thick, so it sticks without running straight off, which is what we want. And I can feel the corn flour has made like a rough surface, which is helping that to also stick, which is great. Be generous with it. I wouldn't worry so much about the little tiny wing tips, because obviously you're not going to eat those. But try and get the rest of your wings. Right. That glaze is delish. Okay, so they're nicely covered, as you can see. So this chicken needs to go back in for another 20 minutes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the timer for 10, bring it out, turn the wings over, and use the rest of the glaze to get underneath of the chicken wings. In the meantime, back it goes for another 10 minutes. Okay, so these wings have been in for another 10 minutes, and oh my God, how I wish you had smelly vision. So I'm going to turn them over, And then the little bit of glaze that I've got left, remember we put most of it on the top, I'm going to brush underneath, and then we're going to put them back in for a final 10 minutes and our chicken wings will be cooked. I have to say, at the precise moment in time, I've done a couple of chicken wing recipes. I think I did one in the air fryer recently, but this is like the best one I've done for a long while by a long shot. It smells absolutely fabulous. And I did taste the glaze, and the glaze is just that perfect blend of all that you want. It's sweet, it's savoury, it's salty, it's, oh, yum. If you didn't want to use this as like, I don't know, barbecue food or something like that, this again would be a fantastic starter. We got Valentine's Day coming up. Fabulous starter for your Valentine's meal. I mean, what could be more seductive than feeding your loved one a chicken wing? Ooh, missus. Right, that's all my glaze gone. So these are going back in now for the final 10 minutes and then they will be done. So I really hope you've enjoyed this recipe. If you try it, let me know, because I think this is a winner, absolutely winner, winner. So give me a thumbs up if you try it and you like it. Let me know if you like it, put it in the comments and let me know how you got on with it. Super simple and absolutely fantastic result. I will put a picture at the end to show you what they look like, all piled up and looking arty. I just don't think you could probably do a better recipe with chicken wings at this precise moment in time. That's my opinion anyway. So, thank you if you've subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. It really does help us. It might just seem like a numbers game to you, but it really is important to us. And we love producing content for you. So if you could just hit that subscribe button, it doesn't cost you anything. Hit the notification bell next to it so that you know when we're around. Because although we're trying to do things regularly, sometimes things go a little off kilter depending on what's going on in our lives, because life happens, simple. And we are a family, and we are a family channel. We're not professional cooks. We've never sort of said that we're chefs or anything like that. We're just cooks that like doing things at home. So come and join us again really soon, and we'd love to see you, and we'd love to hear all about what you're doing. So please drop us a line. You can do that easily on our Facebook group, Big OGGIE World. That's free to join. There's no obligation as normal. It's just really nice to hear your stories. So thanks for joining us, and I hope you come back really soon, and we will see you again. Bye for now.